All right. Welcome back to our podcast. We've taken quite a long hiatus, I think like 2 months.
But for good reason.
And I mean, the reason is me because I've been sick for over 2 months now and haven't been in the office. People tell you when your toddler starts daycare that they will be sick, but no one tells you that you will also be sick.
I heard that though.
I did not.
Oh,
but it does make
sense. The family gets sick.
It does make sense because I'm thinking about like our last corporate job, our boss, our manager was like really sick all the time, but she was also in the office all the time. And then I also got sick from her a lot. And sorry, Carolyn, to put you on blast like that. Not that you watch this. Yeah, I don't think you listen to this podcast. But now that makes sense because she had a toddler at that time.
So yeah, you had a variety of illnesses that kept cycling through.
I had to call 911 once. It was very intense. Yeah. So we were very sick, and so we were unable to record because Molly would never do this by herself.
Yeah. Facts.
But I thought coming off of that, and then all my illnesses due to childcare, and then also it being the new year, it would be kind of like a fun little activity for us, this podcast, to talk about how things have changed for us since becoming moms and running this business, because we started this business pre-children, and then now we have toddlers and
separate toddlers. Our toddlers are a month apart, but they're two different human beings.
She's saying this because people often think we're married
and we have a toddler.
It
this whole thing sounded like it was our toddler, other than me not being sick. Well, I was sick, but not from the toddler. Generally, it's been a season of illness.
That was very confusing. To re-summarize, we have our own respective toddlers. Anyway, like how things have changed for us. Because recently I was thinking about this because we were invited to participate in an event, and I am notorious for saying yes to everything and be like, yes, I definitely want to do that event. I just hate feeling like I'm losing out on an opportunity, or I guess it's like business FOMO. But I had to say no because I have to be home by a certain time and I couldn't do it. And it was a last minute
and there was just no business case for it.
Yeah, there's no like strong business case to do it.
You're not saying no just because. It's like now, I mean, we'll get to it, but there's more of an equation of what makes sense in terms of the ROI of opportunities. And normally, like previously before kids, the investment was our time, right?
Yeah.
There was no real other opportunity cost of us if we had something that you and I could do. But now, because of other responsibilities, we have to factor that into the equation.
Yes. And for me, so that's when I was like just reflecting on it. And I also had a conversation with a new food friend, Rachel, who runs a nut butter business out of the Midwest. And she was telling me how she thinks it's crazy that we started the business pre-kids. And it must be so crazy for us now post-kids, because she has 3 kids. She has way more kids than us, but like either of us. But she always had kids while running her business. She started her business after becoming a mom. So to her, there's no difference. She doesn't know any different. But she was reflecting that it must have been a really big change for us.
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe, I don't know, do you feel a big change? Obviously you feel a change.
Yeah. There's a big change. I mean, but I think for me, the last couple years for us, when you were pregnant during COVID, I think because COVID was its own beast, the mix of throwing in children and all the changes was just on top of so many other things that were changing. For instance, like we were already working from home or working out of like my home office. Now we have a physical office we go to, which is part of, I mean, the reason why is because we have kids now, but
True.
But when we went to COVID times, we were all working remote. And so us now being home, and especially with when you were, taking care of a newborn, it probably would have made sense even if we were working in an office that you were working from home more. But no one on the team really got that sense of change, at least externally, because that had already happened because of COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was.
And there was so much chaos that COVID, that during those years,
like disruption.
Like having a kid seemed at times like, at
Whatever.
least for me, least of the issues that we were dealing with.
That's so true.
So I think it was a unique time in which we both, had kids in the course of the business. If it wasn't normal times anyway.
That's so true. That's a really good perspective. Yeah.
But I'm sure like it felt different from your perspective because, you were dealing with being pregnant. I will say our situations were different because
I was gonna say this makes no sense the way you're describing this.
I was not pregnant. My family has a toddler through adoption, so that process, of course, was very different, and the timeline was different, and also process and everything. So that in of itself is a really intense timing and everything, but it's not like I was dealing with pregnancy and newborn stages. A lot of that difference of like change in lifestyle came later, but in a different way.
Which I wonder if that's even more like shocking, because like I had a build up to toddlerhood. Toddlerhood is so challenging,
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but I don't know the
any
opposite
different,
side,
yeah.
and I have friends with newborn, like that's in of itself just different challenges. So I think no matter what, it's hard having kids, no matter what the process is. Yeah. So,
but it's almost like we planned it because our toddlers are only 1 month apart. It's like it's my dream.
Yeah,
they're both
out.
Little girls.
Yes,
and they get to wear really cute matching outfits all the time.
Yeah,
we're going to Disneyland this weekend, and they're gonna wear matching little Mickey Mouse fleece sweatshirts. I'm so excited.
But I think also with that, the time. I mean, I keep talking about timing, but there is some planning that goes into owning your own business.
Mm-hmm.
I knew obviously that you were anticipating starting a family, and so we talked about it. But at the end of the day, like when you have a normal 9 to 5, when you go on leave, you have backfill, right?
Yeah.
Like for both of us, like my backfill is her backfill is me, plus obviously the team, like we split responsibilities. But ultimately, like Hannah, when she was in the hospital,
oh my god, we have to find that clip.
Yeah, her husband sent me a video of the baby and it
being like wheeled into my
literally room. Like the morning after you gave birth, and in the background I could hear Hannah selling the nurses on her ice cream and like, oh, I have coupons in my purse, like literally as the baby came in. And I was like, Hannah, can you stop working? She's like, the baby's just sleeping, I don't know, there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, I was
literally answering emails. And obviously she did take time for me on leave once they came home, but you were fully back. Like you took a couple weeks off, but you were back pretty, at least on email and things. Yeah. You kind of ramped back on, and that's not like,
I'm not saying, I don't think that's recommended or what I believe,
but it worked for us.
Yeah, it's just what I did personally.
And similarly, I mean, when I
believe in paid maternity leave, like that's what we provide,
but also like, when you own your own business, the pressure is different, and honestly the I think you're anxious to get back to also this is our
firstborn baby. Our business is our firstborn baby.
So it's
actually our baby together. So it's not like I can ignore it. Yeah.
Or nor did you want to.
No, I don't want to. Yeah. It's like, I mean, it is anxiety about it, but not like in a bad way. Mm-hmm. It's just like you have anxiety about our kids.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. Like you want to worry about it.
But there's an eagerness to get back to taking care of both. So that was like the balance and challenge, I think, over this last year, is finding how we can incorporate the changes in our personal life with now the business.
Yeah.
Because prior to, the business was the only thing we really had to take care of.
Yeah. And
Collectively.
her dogs, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, they're very easy. So.
Yeah.
I will say, you know, during my mat leave and the
Mhm.
early infancy part,
Mhm.
like, because I, you know, obviously we use email, I would just be answering email while I was like trying to figure out breastfeeding in the middle of the night.
Yeah, no, I
I did not
remember.
figure it out, but the breastfeeding, but I would just be like, it was either emails
Or
or
watching bad TV.
yeah, or watching TV on my phone like this. Like, I did get like some serious carpal tunnel.
So that was, so I think what has distinctly changed, I think, is the rigor in which both of us need to have in terms of working hours.
Yeah.
But I think what hasn't changed is how much we still work, but it's how we find time for work.
Yeah.
I think, you know, there's pickup drop off that you have to do. We work it out with our collective families, but, you know, we're responsible for that in our own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's like, I have to go, I have a timeline, whereas prior to, it could
There was no
extend forever.
timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that day to day is one of the biggest changes.
I think that also makes us a lot more productive though, because
Yeah.
it's like, I haven't, you know, like when you have meetings with the hard stop,
Mhm.
and then it's not really a hard stop, you can
Yeah.
just keep going. There's no such thing anymore. It's like, nope, this is over. We have to move on.
I mean, you fill the time that you
Yeah,
have. And
yeah.
so I think it being more condensed just makes you,
disciplined.
yes.
I was surprised how much I could do in a regular work day, and it normally would have taken like 2 days for
Yeah.
me to do it.
But also I think, like, I always prescribe to 80-20, but it also like forces you to really like, what is the most essential thing you have to do and prioritize. And like, you could spend another 2 hours making something perfect, but does it need to be perfect? So,
Which, you know, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like that, I want it to be perfect, and it's very hard for me personality wise.
but I think that's a change that you've made more than I have, because I've always been like that. Any
the
other big changes?
What is the opposite of an 80-20 person? Just perfectionist?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's not the opposite, because the opposite of a perfectionist would be someone like
Who doesn't care.
at all. But whatever. Anyway,
So-
one thing. Okay, so that was one.
I mean,
thing.
we covered a lot of things that's been harder.
Yeah.
I feel like time, feeling like measuring opportunity cost of
Mhm.
saying yes to things.
Mhm.
Yeah, time. Time is the hardest thing.
Yeah. One thing that's been better.
I think also time, because now I just get a lot more done in a day, and a lot more rigor around how we do things.
Mhm.
And you know, I'm a perfectionist who also has a hard time saying no. That means I used to spend a lot of time doing things I didn't want to, and like doing them really well, which made me very valuable in the corporate workplace, but also very unhappy, which is why I quit a lot of jobs. That's a different conversation. But I think one thing that I've gotten a lot better at is saying no, because I have to do a harder calculation on the value of like the whatever I'm being asked to do, and my time, and like the other responsibilities I have. And so that's been good, like learning how to set stricter boundaries for me, which, whatever, for all my internal mental issues, is very, very hard.
What else has been better? I mean, the joys of being a mother.
Why are you laughing?
I mean, there's. It's because
Sounds like you're laughing sarcastically.
Because it doesn't really relate to like work.
Oh.
But it does bring you joy, and so when times are bleak at work, like you have something to look forward to at home. Not that you didn't prior to, like our lives were good anyway. But
Yeah.
it's a different kind of joy.
Yeah.
So
So there's that.
yeah.
The cute matching outfits.
Sure.
Yeah. Are we gonna match at Disneyland?
We have matching stuff, so we can just wear those shirts.
Oh, that's so boring. Okay. No new
It's gonna
matching
be
things.
cold
for us.
though, so maybe
Oh yeah. For those of you joining us from non-Californian states, it's pouring
it's
here.
raining, and so as Californians, we're freaking out, and I'm like tracking the storm.
But there's like a cyclone, so it's serious.
It's raining really hard.
Yes. For all our viewers and listeners.
Yeah. So maybe we can go into like tips.
Oh, on how to balance?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone has any. I would appreciate them.
Yeah. I don't know if we're the beacons of balance generally, or if we ever have, but I think we've done an okay job.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that was a really long pause, but I mean, I really struggle with it. I think it also it depends a lot on who your partner is and how much he or she can help.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to use the word help because that makes it sound like it's our responsibility. How much they contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd say that aside, what tips you and I have like what things we've maybe implemented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think this is part of the partnership we've always had, in that no matter what, if there's something that comes up, something that needs to be done, like implicitly you and I know that we can depend on each other.
Yeah.
So I think that again goes back to who is on your team. If you don't have a co-founder, depending on your team, like building that team that understands, but also there's the flexibility there, I think has been really helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the most important thing is making sure you have your support network set up. If you haven't started your business yet, but you're thinking about it and you are a mom with kids, then I think understanding your boundaries is really important. Like, and setting appropriate goals for your business based on what your situation is, support network wise and boundary wise. So like, you know what you're willing to sacrifice. Like, are you willing to miss those soccer practices or whatever? Like, you need to know that for yourself, especially if you don't have a co-founder to lean on.
Yeah, I think having a co-founder in all its, well, I mean, I wouldn't say I ever have difficulties, but for some co-founders, they have challenges, but also it can be a benefit if you have the right relationship. When having young children, I think as they get older, it gets perhaps easier. I don't know. I don't know yet, but we're hopeful.
Well, we have a colleague who will probably listen to this podcast, and she has kids who are a little older, and I don't know, it still seems hard. Just different hard.
different
hard. But
yeah,
different joys too, I'm sure.
If
If there wasn't, then it would be terrible. So
any other tips?
God, we have been useless. Yeah, not very many tips. But I think
also continue to share with other.
Commiseration, I think, is like a salve for the difficulties we do have sometimes.
So luckily we have each other, and then a lot of other friends who are moms who are in similar situations, either in normal jobs 9 to 5 that have to find the balance too, or 9 to 6, or whatever their work situation is, but also moms who are entrepreneurs, chatting with them and just being a support network beyond like normal food stuff. It's literally, how do you balance this, or what has worked for your life, is just building out that network so you don't feel so alone. I think in any circumstance is great, but also with the intense challenges of having toddlers and having your own business, that is really crucial.
Yeah, that's good.
Tips. We have them.
Make friends. Tips. We have them.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think that was good for our first try back after my hiatus of illness.
But if you guys have toddlers out there and want to share your tips with us, find us online.